So today I want to talk about recovering from longer term niggling injuries, especially if you like to maintain a regular exercise regime. So if you suffer with niggles or recurring injuries, you just can't shift them, keep on watching, keep on listening. Hopefully this will be useful for you. Welcome back to consecutive day 1605 of a diary of a runpreneur. If you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon of run blogging on consecutive days, distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style, then do give this a subscribe, share, like and comment. More people we get in front of, more money we raise, more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. Thank you as always, and let's get started. So, consecutive day 1605 of a diary of a runpreneur. And today's topic is all about rehabilitating longer term injuries, niggling injuries, recurring injuries, especially if you like to maintain a regular exercise regime. So pretty obviously I'm talking about this because I have a niggling injury that has recently occurred and I feel like I can't shift it very well, so I need to put a little bit more thought and a bit more kind of structure into my rehabilitation process or structure to try and shift it and keep it shifted ultimately, because it's nothing worse than being on a consecutive running streak, having injuries and struggling to shift them. So just to give you some background to why I believe this has happened. So my left knee, I believe, is suffering from runner's knee. So there's a slight kind of discomfort to the right side of my patella or kneecap, and I think it's probably down to the fact of a kind of alignment issue with my running technique, which would have stemmed from putting my body through quite a lot of stress and intensity during the Loch Ness Marathon, when suffering with issues with my feet ultimately. So with my feet, I had a lot of hard skin on the soles of my feet, which is a kind of common with barefoot style runners, but I also had a couple of corns on the bottom, which are basically like bits of hard skin that kind of grow inwards. So it's like the concept of having a stone in your shoe or your sock. The problem with corns in particular for posture and alignment is that body's a clever thing, and it is very good at managing pain and kind of counterbalancing issues within the body. So ultimately I had one larger corn on my left sole of the kind of ball of my left foot, and I had a smaller one on my right foot. So as a result, my posture or alignment I'd land on my left foot slightly off centre to avoid like landing on it, which would cause pain. What are you doing? And I'll see you soon. So that's a run I've got a race with in November. So ultimately the challenge is now correcting this injury. So first and foremost, I believe we identified the cause when I went to a podiatrist, because after all the blistering issues and foot related issues I had at the Loch Ness Marathon, I clearly realised that despite having regular sports massages and keeping my muscles relatively in good shape and well kind of maintained, I was completely neglecting my feet. And when you think about running in general, the sole of the foot is where it takes the brunt of the impact, and especially if you're a barefoot style runner like I am, without the same degree of cushioning that you get in traditional running footwear, my feet take an absolute hammering, added to the fact that I'm doing consecutive daily running, and I have done for the last 1605 days. So prevention is better than the cure. So I've now got a kind of structured approach by having regular podiatrist meetings every 8 weeks or so, to keep an eye on the kind of hard skin build up. Sounds disgusting, but it's important. I need a layer of hard skin to give my feet that protection, but too much can result in corns and alignment landing issues. So that's the first thing I'm doing. I've also got kind of preventative measures. I'm going to start by trying silicone kind of gel strips, if you like, which I can stick to the sole of my feet when doing endurance events in areas where I would usually blister or have issues, which is a preventative measure to cause less damage on my feet during longer endurance races. But that's all good and well, But what about the now? I'm now struggling with runner's knee. It's a common issue with people that have pushed themselves too hard and have taken the brunt through their knees and joints through misalignment. And ultimately, I've had it now for, we're now into the third week of October, and I ran the Loch Ness Marathon at the end of September, so it's 3 weeks now, and this hasn't shifted, which is a long time for me because I do a lot of recovery running, which is usually good enough to shift a lot of injuries that I potentially get by dropping the pace. So what am I going to do about it? Well, ultimately I've got another sports massage booked in within the next couple of weeks. I've also got a podiatrist meeting booked, or session booked, I think for maybe 3 weeks time. So they're future events to try and see how things are. But in the interim, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to drop my pace right down to over 6 minute kilometres. Well, I'm well over 6 minute kilometres. I'm kind of 6:40, which is incredibly slow for me. Not that I'm a super fast runner by any stretch, but I'm going to try and run with the least possible amount of impact. So this is it's still probably double walking pace, but it's incredibly slow for me. But it's really small steps, really limiting the amount of impact going through my joints, and hopefully this will aid recovery by giving it regular movement, having the blood keep pumping through it, oxygenated blood pumping through the joint, but limiting the impact. So I'll be doing that for the foreseeable. I have a potential not an endurance race, it's a 11-mile run, off-road run coming up at kind of towards the end of November. So on that basis, I'll make an assessment kind of mid-November whether I'm fit enough to do that. In addition to running at this pace, I'm running in my Vibram 5-finger trail, V-Trail 2.0s. So these are the trail version of barefoot style runnings. They're still very, very barefoot style footwear, but they just have slightly more grip and a slightly thicker sole than what the V runs would have, which I run in usually on road. So these will give me possibly slightly more cushioning, which could possibly have a positive impact on the recovery as well. And I'm going to do this now for the next kind of 3 weeks or so. So just to take me to kind of middle of November, and by which time I'll have had a sports massage and a podiatrist meeting as well, and then we'll take an assessment. If I need to pull out of the race in November, I will do so. I have 2 marathons to prepare for next spring, one in April and one in May, Manchester Marathon in April and Edinburgh Marathon in May. So on that basis, they're the kind of the more longer term goals where I'd like to push again for that sub 3 hour 15 marathon time. But yeah, I've got to get fully fit before I can even think about training for that, which my training plan would probably kick in probably early February, if providing I'm fully recovered by then. So it is a very structured plan. I think ultimately the learnings from my diary, little dogs over there, learnings from my diary today is, if you are struggling with recurring and niggling injuries which you really struggle to shift, and you like to maintain a regular exercise regime, there's a few steps that I would recommend. First and foremost, prevention is better than the cure. So look at the team of specialists you have around you. Are you doing preventative measures to avoid these things happening in the future, i.e. sports massages, physiotherapy, podiatrist meetings, whatever it entails, to try and avoid or pick up on inefficiencies earlier so that you can fix them prior to them turning into these types of injuries. Secondly, if you are doing regular exercise and you don't want it to impact it, then you have to switch into recovery mode. By that it means putting things into low impact, low pace, low intensity, and just keeping things going, just so you get the blood pumping a little bit quicker, oxygenated blood through your muscles and joints, which can ultimately aid recovery. As long as you're not pushing it too hard and forcing the injury to get worse, then this can be a really useful way of recovering and ultimately not rushing the recovery process. Evening. Not rushing the injury recovery process is key. Your body needs rest to recuperate, and so when we talk about rest, if recovery running or recovery exercise is your rest, make sure it is exactly that. You do as little effort as possible while still exercising, just to give your muscles and joints the recovery they need to ideally make a full recovery. So yeah, hopefully you find that useful. As I said, my process now for recovering from this runner's knee related issue is to make sure I've got my sports masseuse and podiatrist sessions booked in advance, which I have. Dropping my pace on my recovery running sessions for the next 3 weeks to significantly below 6 minute kilometre pace, which is probably just double walking pace. Incredibly slow for what I'd normally run, but I can feel the impact being considerably less. I'm also putting on slightly more supportive footwear, so still with my barefoot style, I'm just moving to my trail running footwear, even though I'm running on roads, which just have slightly more grip, a slightly thicker sole, which just gives a little bit more protection and support. So hopefully that will prove to be a sensible move as well. And then I will review again in 3 weeks' time and keep on this process until hopefully I can shift it. But you know what the great Sir Benjamin Franklin once said, a fail to plan is a plan to fail, and I do have a plan in how to deal with this. I just now need to execute it, and hopefully that I get the desired result of full recovery. So fingers crossed. But that's it for me. Questions or comments, drop me a line. I'll respond to everyone. Do remember though, if you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon of run vlogging on consecutive days, distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style, to give this a subscribe, share, like and comment. More people we get in front of, more money we raise, more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. Thank you as always. Stay positive, stay happy. See you again tomorrow.